All right, I just want to catalog the three things that are strange to nearly impossible coincidences regarding the East Palestine, Ohio train wreck, because I've heard of them all separately, disparately, but I thought it would be good to put them all together in one video, and just so that it's all right there, present for everybody to see. The one that gets talked about the most is the one involving the filming of the movie White Noise on Netflix. This movie is based on a novel that was written back in the 80s, and part of the plot is that a tanker truck runs into a train, and there's a massive crash, and the truck was carrying lots of poisonous chemicals. So there's all these chemicals that dangerous chemicals that get released into the air, causing what gets called an airborne toxic event, and the members of the community have to evacuate. And there's a lot of question about what this airborne toxic event, what kind of a future it will mean for them. You know, whether the main character has been exposed, and whether he'll get sick and die in the months or years to come, perhaps because of his exposure. So this movie was filmed in Ohio. It was set in Ohio, explicitly said to be set in Ohio. It used extras who were from East Palestine, Ohio. All of this, you know, in a movie whose major plot point is exactly the same, almost exactly the same as what happened in real life. In the movie, it was a truck carrying dangerous chemicals that ran into a train that caused the release of the chemicals. In life, it was just the train derailing that caused the release of these chemicals. Nevertheless, the similarities are notable. The parallels are notable. The second of the two parallels, or not, this isn't really a parallel, this is just a strange coincidence. Something that I've spoken of before. I talked about how Michael Knowles was talking about this yesterday. Usually a non-conspiracy person. You know, this is an Alex Jones, saying this kind of stuff. This is somebody who's, close to the mainstream right, affiliated with Ben Shapiro and the Daily Wire. And he was saying, wasn't it strange that the CDC had these very specific guidelines regarding the kind of dangerous chemical that was carried that was being carried by the train that got released, that got exposed to the environment, and that eventually they let it like controlled burn for some reason, which a lot of people are questioning why they did that. This happened, I think, 3 days later after the initial crash, because they supposedly did it because they were afraid that there was going to be an explosion, and this was a way to control it. But it still seems like a pretty dangerous and irresponsible thing to do. No more dangerous and irresponsible than carrying chemical waste that shouldn't be carried by a train, and isn't usually carried by from place to place. In a train that was not running well, or not running on a that was running on a faulty rail line, or whatever the problem was, or had brakes that didn't work properly, or whatever the problem was. Anyhow, the CDC until recently had in their handbook or on their website all kinds of information about this chemical, detailed information discussing this chemical, the dangerous effects that it can have, the toxic effects that it has, its carcinogenic nature, the effects it can have on children, and all kinds of things like that. And then for some reason in January of this year, January 2023, just before this train derailment takes place in East Palestine, Ohio, in February 3rd of 2023, they abruptly change that section of their handbook or their website, whatever it is. And now it has far less information about this chemical, and no information about the effect this chemical has on children. And like Michael Knowles said, this wasn't Alex Jones. This wasn't David Icke. This wasn't the kind of person you would expect to be saying something like this or pointing something like this out. It's still a good point, even no matter who says it. It's a good point if Joseph Stalin says it. All right, but still, the point shouldn't be who's saying it, but whether it's information that is pertinent to the story. But I'm just pointing that out that, as I said in my video yesterday, this is the conspiracy, so-called, has gone mainstream to a large extent. All right, we got that. And now also, people have uncovered the fact that in the months prior to when this derailment took place, there were authorities who were deciding, I think health authorities, I don't know off the top of my head, I will link to it below. I don't have all the information in my head specifically about it right now. But there was a campaign afoot, specifically in, of all places, East Palestine, Ohio, a town most people never heard of until before last week, right? But they just happened to choose this town for this campaign, and the campaign was, we've got this digital doohickey, and you can put it on your arm, and it'll track your health, whatever health issues you might have. And if you are in an accident, or if health authorities come across you, they can access it digitally and read it, and then they can find out, what's been in your history and so forth. They just happened to choose East Palestine, Ohio, which has now been exposed to toxic chemicals galore. They chose it as the place for, what do they call it, beta testing, or the rollout of this program, this digital program that's supposed to be helping people out as far as helping them to assess their health. But one can't help but wonder, why there? Why then? Then meaning just a couple of months before, just a few weeks before this airborne chemical event out of white noise took place in East Palestine, Ohio, right? So, all these three things together, are they coincidences? One thing you could say, well, that's just maybe you could say, well, yeah, that's just that's just a weird confluence between fiction and reality. Like you could have said that about the movie White Noise and what took place earlier this month. But that, in addition to these two other things, in addition to the CDC for some reason hiding all this information, specifically about this specific chemical, changing their notes, changing their data around, or rearranging it, making it so that you can't immediately access the kind of detailed information that they gave before, concerning this chemical. And then also this campaign afoot, to the rolling out of this campaign to monitor citizens in East Palestine, Ohio, to see what their what might be problems with their health. Really, these three things together, taken as a whole, it's I would say it's hard to just dismiss all of them. You can, and people do, no doubt. People just say, well, shit happens, it's crazy, but it's one of those things. But I don't know. To me, it makes it a little bit harder to just think that what happened in East Palestine, Ohio, was a massive accident due to incompetence. Just some thoughts. Take them however you want to take them. And leave your comments below if you have any. Thanks for watching.